The rain hadn't stopped since morning. My shoes sank into the soft mud as I walked up the cemetery path, the air thick with the smell of wet grass and cut flowers. My suit clung to me, damp and uncomfortable, but none of it mattered. I was here for one reason, to say goodbye to my brother. I tightened my grip on the umbrella, pushing past a line of parked cars. My chest pounded, and with each step I tried to steady my breath. But the moment I reached the black iron gates, the air shifted. "Stop right there." My father's voice cut through the drizzle, sharp as broken glass. I froze. He stood just inside the gate, hand gripping the bars, eyes burning with the kind of hatred that had no place here, not today. "I just came too. You don't belong here," he snapped. His words spat like venom. My throat closed. He was my brother too. Behind him, my mother's face appeared, pale beneath her black veil. But instead of softening, her eyes narrowed. "Don't embarrass us. Leave."
Ow.
The umbrella slipped from my hand, crashing onto the wet ground. "Embarrass you? I'm here to say goodbye." "Goodbye." My father's lip curled. "You said your goodbye the day you turned your back on this family. Or I started, but my mother cut me off." "Enough. You made your choices. Don't poison his farewell with your presence." The words sliced through me, sharper than any blade. For a second I thought maybe I'd misheard, that grief had twisted their voices. But no. They meant it. A small crowd gathered inside, whispers. Drifting through the rain. Some looked away, pretending not to see. Others stared, curious, pitying. My stomach twisted. "Dad, please." I tried again, my voice breaking. "I just want to stand by his grave, that's all." He shook his head, stepping closer. "Not today, not ever." The gate clanged shut between us, metal against metal, a sound final and cruel. I pressed my palms against the cold bars, staring past him to the casket draped in white flowers. My brother's coffin. My chest heaved. He would have wanted me here. My mother's laugh was bitter, almost a scoff. "Don't you dare pretend you knew what he wanted." Every muscle in my body tensed, a storm raging inside me louder. Then the rain. I wanted to scream, to tear down the gate, to force my way in, but my legs locked beneath me. My father said to the funeral director, who stood nervously nearby, "Start? No." The shout ripped from my throat. My hands shook on the bars. "Please, just let me in." But no one moved. The procession began. The coffin lowered slowly into the earth, the ropes creaking as the ground swallowed him whole. I pressed my forehead to the gate, my breath fogging against the cold iron. "Don't do this," I whispered, "on a race." Me. Tears blurred my vision, mixing with the rain until I couldn't tell one from the other. My fists pounded the bars once, twice, a helpless rhythm that went nowhere. A soft voice pulled me from the storm inside. "I'm sorry," I turned. Rachel stood a few feet away, clutching a folded program against her chest. Her eyes darted nervously toward my parents before she stepped closer. "Rachel," my voice cracked. She hesitated, then slipped the program through the bars. "I wanted you to have this." My hands shook as I took it. My brother's face smiled from the glossy page, his name printed bold across the top. Memories crashed over me, his laugh, his voice, the late nights we used to share. "Thank you," I whispered. "I tried to speak up," she murmured, glancing back at the service. "But they wouldn't listen." "Of course they wouldn't. They never did." "I shouldn't even be talking to you," she added, voice trembling. "But he loved you. Don't let them make you forget that." Her words lodged in my chest like a lifeline. But even as I clung to them, the final shovel of dirt fell, muffled and heavy, sealing him away forever. The crowd bowed their heads. My parents stood united at the edge of the grave, their faces carved from stone. Not once did they look at me. My jaw clenched. My nails dug into my palms. Rage and grief twisted together inside me, choking the air from my lungs. I whispered so only I could hear, my voice low and shaking. "I'll never forgive you for this." The rain pounded harder, drowning out everything but the vow echoing. Inside me, I turned from the gate, the program pressed against my chest, my brother's face the only warmth left in the storm, and as I walked away, one truth burned brighter than the rest. They could shut me out today, but they would never erase me. The ceiling above me was cracked, one line running like a scar across the plaster. I'd been staring at it for hours, wide awake, listening to the hum of the city outside my apartment window. No matter how many times I closed my eyes, sleep refused to come. Every corner of the apartment whispered him back to me. The couch where we'd stayed up watching late-night games. It's the kitchen where we'd argued over cheap takeout. It's the balcony, where he once told me, "We'll always have each other's backs." My throat tightened. That promise felt like another ghost haunting the room. A knock at the door jolted me upright. I dragged myself across the floor and pulled it open. Rachel stood there, umbrella dripping, eyes soft with pity. "Can I come in?" she asked. I stepped aside. "You're the only one who would." She set her umbrella down and scanned the mess of bottles and papers littering the table. "You haven't been sleeping, observant," I muttered, running a hand through my hair. She sighed. "I didn't want to tell you this yesterday, but you deserve to know. Your parents, they're blaming you." My stomach dropped. Blaming me for what? Her eyes flickered with guilt. For his death. "They said you were a bad influence, that you pulled him away, distracted him, filled his head with reckless ideas." The words slammed into me, sharper than any blade. My fists clenched. "They said that." Rachel nodded. "That's a lie," I spat, pacing the room. "A disgusting lie. He wasn't reckless. He was alive. He had dreams. I know." Her voice was steady. "But they need someone to point a finger at. And you. You were the easiest target." I laughed bitterly, the sound harsh in the silence. "Of course. Erase me from the funeral, then drag my name through the mud." Classic. Rachel reached for my arm. "Don't let their bitterness define you." I yanked away, heat rising in. My chest? Define me? They've already poisoned everything. Do you have any idea what it's like hearing your own parents say you don't belong? That your brother's gone because of you? She flinched but didn't step back. "I know. It hurts, but he wouldn't have believed that. You know he wouldn't." Her calm tone only fueled my rage. I grabbed a glass off the counter and hurled it against the wall. Shattered, pieces raining across the floor. "Damn it," my voice cracked. I slammed my fist into the table, rattling. "The bottles. Why does it feel like I'm losing him twice?" Rachel didn't move, didn't scold me. She simply watched, her hands folded tight. When the silence thickened, she reached into her bag and pulled something out. "I brought this," she said, holding it out. It was an old, worn notebook, the edges frayed, the cover smeared with fingerprints that weren't mine. My heart stopped. I took it carefully, flipping open the pages. Sketches filled them, messy, alive, brimming with hope. Children smiling, kids on playgrounds, rough outlines of community centers, notes scrawled in the margins, scholarship program, free sports camps, art classes. I swallowed hard. This was his. Rachel nodded. Kept it with him everywhere. Said he wanted to help kids who never got a chance. My chest burned as I traced the lines of his handwriting. I never knew. "He planned all this. You were his sounding board," Rachel reminded me, "even if you didn't know it. He shared his dreams with you." I shook my head. "And now they'll never happen, because he's gone." Rachel's voice was gentle but firm. "They don't have to die with him." I looked up sharply. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you could carry them forward. Honor him, instead of drowning in what your parents say." Her words echoed in the apartment, but I couldn't answer. The notebook felt heavy in my hands, like he was still here, still speaking through. Every page, Rachel touched my arm again. "Let you think about it. Don't let them bury him twice." She grabbed her umbrella and slipped out. Leaving me alone with the storm still raging inside, I sat back on the couch, notebook pressed to my chest. I closed my eyes, and for a moment silence filled the room. Then, so faint I thought I imagined it, I heard his voice. "Don't let them bury me twice." My eyes flew open, breath catching. The words weren't just memory. They were command. I pressed the notebook tighter, tears streaming hot down my face. "I won't. I swear I won't." The city buzzed outside, uncaring, but inside my apartment. Something shifted. The first time since the funeral, I felt a spark of direction. He wasn't gone, not completely. As long as I held this notebook, his ghost lived on guiding me, reminding me, demanding I fight back, and I would. The cafe smelled of burnt espresso and sugar, the kind of place my brother used to drag me to on Sunday mornings. I wasn't there for nostalgia, I just needed caffeine. But the moment I walked in, fate decided to twist the knife. David was sitting near the window, his suit sharp, his grin sharper. My brother's so-called best friend spotted me instantly and raised his cup like we were old pals. "Well, if it isn't the prodigal son," he said, waving me over. I froze, my stomach tightening. I don't remember agreeing to this reunion. He leaned back casually. "Come on, sit, no need to sulk in the doorway." Against my better judgment, I sat across from him. His smirk never faltered. You know, he started stirring his coffee slowly. "Your parents, they trust me now. Said I'm the son they always wanted." My jaw clenched. "Congratulations. This must feel good stealing what isn't yours." He chuckled. "Stealing? No, I just stepped in where you left a void. Somebody had to. You didn't exactly make it easy for them to love you." My fists tightened under the table. "Don't you dare talk about love when you used him for every ounce of attention he gave." David tilted his head, feigning sympathy, still bitter. You should know he wasn't exactly perfect. Left behind quite a few debts. Guess who they're whispering about to cover them? You, the unreliable brother. The one who should have been there. The words hit me like bricks. Debts. I asked, my voice barely steady. "Yeah," he said smoothly. "Money owed. Promises. Unkept." He leaned on the wrong people. "You weren't there to save him, were you?" I shot up from the chair so fast it screeched across the floor. Heads turned, but I didn't care. "You don't get to twist his memory to make yourself look clean," I snapped. David only smirked deeper. "Careful. Anger doesn't change the truth." I stormed out, the bell above the cafe door clanging violently behind me. My hands trembled as I shoved them into my pockets. Rage churned with guilt until I could barely breathe. By the time I got home, my phone buzzed. Mark's name lit up the screen. "Man, you sound like you're about to explode." He said the second I picked up. "I ran into David," I muttered. Mark groaned. "That snake." What did he say this time? That my parents see him as their son now? That my brother had debts? That it's somehow my fault for not saving him? My voice cracked, frustration spilling out. And the worst part is, I almost believed him. Silence hummed through the line, then Mark said firmly, "Meet me at O'Malley's now. I'm not letting you sit in that pit alone." "I don't now," he cut me off an hour later. I was nursing a whiskey while Mark leaned back in his chair, watching me like he could see every storm raging inside. "You're letting them decide your worth again," he said flatly. "I can't help it," I muttered. "It's like no matter what I do, I'm never enough." I couldn't even stand by my brother at the funeral, and now David's a parasite, Mark interrupted. "Your parents are blind." "That's not on you." I slammed the glass down. But what if there's truth in what he said? What if my brother was drowning and I didn't even notice? Mark leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Listen to me. Your brother's choices were his own. You loved him. That was enough. Don't you dare let David rewrite that." I rubbed my temples, my voice dropping. Feels like they've all erased me. Like I don't exist in his story anymore. Mark's hand slammed the table. "Then write yourself back. In. Not for them, for him, for you." I looked up, startled by his fire. "What does that even mean?" "It means stop waiting for their approval," Mark said. "Stop letting them decide how you honor him. Find your own way. You don't need permission." His words hung between us, heavy but strangely freeing. "You really think I can do that?" I asked. "I don't think," he said, smirking faintly. "I know. You've been carrying his ghost around like a chain. Time to carry it like a torch." I sat back, stunned. For the first time since the funeral, something small, dangerous, but alive sparked inside me. Rebellion. Mark clinked his glass against mine. "To your brother. Not their version. Yours." I swallowed the whiskey, letting the burn settle deep in my chest. David's smirk still haunted me, but Mark's words cut louder. Maybe I didn't need their approval. Maybe. The power to honor my brother had been mine all along. The old porch creaked beneath my feet as I stood frozen in the shadows. My parents' house looked the same as it always had, but something inside me had shifted. I shouldn't have come. I knew it the second I saw the warm lights glowing through the curtains. Still, curiosity dragged me forward, and before I realized it, I was leaning against the siding, listening. Inside, laughter spilled out. My father's booming chuckle, my mother's shrill giggle, and another voice, the one that made my stomach churn. David, double quotes, such generosity, my father said. People, practically lined up to give, all in his name. My mother chimed in, voice sweet as poison. It's what he would have wanted. And thank God for David helping us manage it all. He's been a blessing. Then David's voice, smug and calm. Don't worry, I'll make sure the donations are handled properly. No one needs to know how much actually reaches the children. Blood froze. The donations money people gave to honor my brother were being pocketed. By them. By him. My hand shook as it hovered over the doorknob. I should have walked away. I should have swallowed it like I always did. But rage boiled over. And before I could stop myself, I shoved the door open. The three of them jerked their heads toward me. My mother's face twisted. What are you doing here? I could ask the same thing, I shot back. Stealing? Off the back of his death? My father slammed his fist against the arm of his chair. Watch your mouth. I stepped into the room, chest heaving. You're laughing, drinking, pocketing money meant for children? Now, do you even hear yourselves? He wanted to help kids, and you're robbing them. David leaned back in his chair, smirk tugging at his lips. Always dramatic? You think you're the moral compass now? I rounded on him. You're a leech. You latched onto him, and now you're bleeding, his memory dry. Enough, my mother screeched. She stood, her eyes burning. No right to question us. You've been nothing but shame since the day you were born. The words sliced through me like glass. I felt my nails dig into my palms, my fists begging to strike something, anything. My father's voice boomed final. And cold. You want to keep pushing? Then hear me clearly, you're no son of mine. You walk out that door, you don't come back. The room went still. Rachel's warning, Mark's words, my brother's ghost, all of it, roared in my head at once. I looked at David, lounging smugly in the corner, and then at my parents, their eyes full of disgust. My throat burned, but I forced the words out. You already buried me once. Maybe this time it'll stick. My mother gasped, but I didn't stay to watch her spin another dagger. I turned, each step heavier than the last, and walked out into the cool night air. The door slammed behind me. I stood there on the porch, my body trembling with rage. My fists ached from how hard I'd clenched them, but I hadn't swung. Not at David, not at my father, not at the wall. The rage stayed caged inside me, suffocating. The street was empty, silent except for the whisper of leaves in the wind. I staggered down the steps, staring up at the sky. If I can't be part of their family, I whispered to the night, my voice breaking, then I'll build my own legacy for him. Tears stung my eyes, but I didn't wipe them. For the first time, I wasn't ashamed of them. They weren't weakness, they were fuel. I shoved my hands into my pockets and kept walking further from the house. Further from their poison behind me, laughter flickered again through the walls. But I didn't. Turn back. Not this time. Are you sure about this? Mark asked as we walked into the cafe. She's sharp, but she doesn't play nice if she thinks someone isn't serious. I need sharp, I muttered, adjusting the strap of my bag. My chest still ached. From the last encounter at my parents' house, if I'm going to do this, I can't afford to stumble. Sarah was already sitting at a corner table, files spread out in neat rows, coffee untouched. She wore glasses that gave her a stern edge. But the moment her eyes landed on me, something softened. You must be him, she said. Her voice carried a balance of warmth and precision. I slid into the chair across from her. I am. Thank you for meeting me. She leaned forward, steepling her fingers. Mark told me you want to build something in your brother's memory. Before you go further, I need to hear it from you. I swallowed, my throat dry. He mattered, more than they ever admitted. I don't just want a plaque or some hollow ceremony. I want something alive, something lasting. Her gaze didn't waver. What exactly are you picturing? Nonprofit? Maybe an orphanage? Maybe scholarships? I don't have it all mapped out, but I know I can't just let his name vanish into their lies. Sarah scribbled something in her notes. Do you understand how messy this could get? If your parents catch wind of it, they'll try to sabotage. You, money, reputation, even legal interference, family wars, spill into everything. I leaned closer, lowering my voice. Then let them. I don't care what it costs me. Mark placed a hand on my shoulder. Careful. Passion's good, but Sarah's right. You need to be prepared for a fight. Sarah adjusted her glasses, studying me. Why now? Why not move on and leave them behind? I clenched my fists under the table, because my brother deserved more than silence. They shut me out. They mocked me. They used his name for greed. This is mine, for him. For the first time, she smiled, faint but genuine. That's conviction, good. But conviction needs a structure. We'll start small. Register a foundation. Build credibility before they even know it exists. At relief washed through me, though fear still lingered. You'll help me? I don't waste my time on lost causes, she said firmly. And you don't sound like one. The words cracked something inside me hope I hadn't felt in years. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A message from Rachel. I'm outside. I brought something. Excuse me, I said quickly, rising from the table. I'll be right back. Rachel was waiting by her car, clutching a cardboard box to her chest. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying. I found this while cleaning, she said softly. It belonged to your brother, I thought. Maybe you should have it. I took the box carefully, almost afraid of what it might contain. What's inside? You'll see, she whispered. Back at the table, I set it down. Sarah raised an eyebrow but said nothing. My hands trembled as I opened the lid. Clothes worn but neatly folded. A few books with his handwriting in the margins. And at the very bottom, a crumpled sketch on notebook paper. I pulled it out slowly. My breath caught in my throat. It was an orphanage. A rough drawing. Windows crooked. Walls uneven but full of tiny figures. Children smiling, playing. Above it, in his messy handwriting, were the words, "One day, I'll build this." My vision blurred. Tears streamed down before I could stop them. Is that his? Rachel asked quietly. I nodded, unable to speak. My brother's dream stared back at me, raw and alive on the page. He hadn't just wanted comfort, he wanted to save others. Sarah leaned forward, her expression softening. That changes everything. I wiped at my face with the back of my hand. This is it. This is what I'm going to build. Rachel touched my arm. He would have loved that. He always talked about helping kids who didn't have what we had. Never told me, I whispered, voice breaking. And I was too blind to ask. Silence hung for a moment, heavy but full of meaning. Then I pressed the paper flat against the table, staring at every shaky line. I'll make it real, I said, firmly. For him, for every child he dreamed of saving. Sarah closed her folder and pushed it toward me. Then we start here. Paperwork, registrations, finding allies. If this is truly your brother's vision, we'll carve it into stone. Rachel smiled through her tears. You're not alone in this, not anymore. For the first time in a long while, I believed her. Do you even hear yourself? My mother snapped, slamming her hand against the table. An orphanage. With what money? With what credibility? I forced myself to keep my voice steady. His name, with his dream. You used it for Lism, going to use it for truth. My father's face reddened. Truth, you're exploiting your dead brother for pity. No, I shot back, clenching my fists. I'm honoring him. Something you never did. David laughed from the corner, swirling his drink like he was hosting a comedy show. Oh, This is priceless. You think anyone will give you money? They'll laugh you out of the room. It's just like I am now. His smirk dug into me, but I refused. To break? Say what you want. You'll see soon enough. Oh, we'll see, he chuckled. You'll fail, and when you do, I'll be right here to remind everyone you dragged his name through the mud. I leaned across the table. Better that than filling your pockets with donations meant for him. His grin faltered just for a second. My mother noticed, her glare sharp as knives. Enough. You're tearing this family apart. I stood, chest heaving. No, you already did. The room went silent. Their perfect little kingdom cracked in that moment, though they'd never admit it. Later at Sarah's office, I slumped into a chair. Mark was leaning against the wall, arms crossed. Sarah looked up from her papers. Rough day? They cornered me, I muttered. Called me a leech. Said I was using his name. Mark frowned. Let me guess. David was there too. I nodded. He laughed, said I'd fail. Sarah tapped her pen against the desk. People like him thrive on image, but word travels fast. I've already heard whispers he's been involved in shady side deals. If that comes out, his credibility collapses. Blinked. Seriously. Seriously, she said firmly. We don't need to start the fire. Just let it burn on its own. Mark smirked. Karma's got better aim than we ever could. For the first time that day, I laughed. Maybe it does. Sarah pushed a folder toward me. Meanwhile, we've secured early funding. Not much, but enough to get started. A group of donors liked the vision. They believe in it. My chest tightened. They believe in me. They believe in what you're fighting for, she corrected. That's what matters. I gripped the folder like it was the only solid thing in my world. That night, Rachel showed up at my door, clutching a small envelope. Her face was pale. Eyes red-rimmed. Can we talk? She asked quietly. I let her in. What happened? She sat at the edge of the couch, twisting the envelope in her hands. I don't know where I stand anymore. Mom says, you're destroying us. Dad says you're lost. David, well, you know him. But when I look at you, I see something real, and it scares me. I swallowed.
Ow.
You don't have to pick sides, Rachel. Just don't stand in the way. Tears welled in her eyes. I can't keep pretending. You should have this. She held out the envelope. My heart skipped as I recognized my brother's handwriting on the front. My hands shook as I tore it open. Inside was a single sheet, folded neatly. If I don't make it, live for me. The words blurred as tears filled my eyes. My chest caved in. I pressed the letter to my face, breathing in the faint scent of him that lingered in the paper. Rachel's voice broke. He wrote it months before the accident. I kept it because I wasn't ready to face it. But you are. I couldn't speak. My body trembled, torn open by grief and love all at once. Finally, I whispered. He wanted me to carry him. All this time I thought I was alone, but he knew, trusted me. Rachel touched my arm gently. And you're doing it more than any of us. I shook my head, wiping at my face. Not enough. Not yet. But I will. I swear I will. The fire that had been flickering inside me roared to life. I looked at the letter again, reading his words over and over until they carved themselves into me. Live for me, I will, I whispered. Fiercely I'll live for you, and I'll make your dream real. Rachel squeezed my hand. Then you've already won, even if they never admit it. For once I believed her. The wooden benches creaked as I sat down, my palms slick with sweat. The courtroom buzzed with low murmurs, the air heavy like a storm waiting to break. Sarah leaned toward me, her voice calm but sharp. Breathe. Let them talk first. Lies unravel. Faster when you let them tighten the rope themselves. I nodded, but my stomach churned. Across the aisle, my parents sat rigid, their lawyer whispering into their ears. David lounged behind them, smirk plastered on his face like he was already celebrating. Judge Harris entered, robes flowing, his gavel striking once. Court is now in session. The lawyer for my parents stood. Your Honor, my clients seek. To prevent misuse of their late son's name, the defendant he pointed at me like I was dirt, has attempted to exploit grief for personal gain, attaching himself to donations that rightfully belong to this family. I clenched my fists. Under the table, Sarah rose smoothly. Exploitation? The record will show it's quite the opposite. The plaintiffs collected donations in their son's name, but the funds never reached any charitable cause. We have evidence, gasps echoed. My mother's eyes widened before narrowing like blades. That's a lie, she shouted, but Judge Harris banged his gavel. Order. Sarah slid a folder onto the bench. Bank records, Your Honor. Thousands of dollars deposited into their private accounts. Not a penny spent on the causes they advertised. Judge Harris adjusted his glasses, scanning the papers. My father stiffened, his jaw clenched so tight I could hear his teeth grind. David leaned forward, whispering something to him. My gut twisted, Sarah continued, her voice slicing clean. My client, however, seeks no personal profit. He intends to establish a non-profit orphanage, fulfilling the dream his brother left behind. A dream documented in sketches, notes, and most importantly, she glanced at me. A letter. Judge Harris looked up. We'll hear from the defendant directly. My heart pounded. Sarah touched my shoulder briefly. You've got this. I stood, legs shaky. The courtroom blurred for a second, then sharpened under the judge's gaze. Tell us, Judge Harris said. Why this orphanage? I swallowed. Hard, because it was his dream. My brother. He wanted to help kids who didn't have a family. He drew sketches, made plans, believed he could give them something better. When he died, I thought that dream died too, but I found his words. He wrote. My voice cracked. I unfolded the letter with trembling hands. He wrote, If I don't make it, live for me. The silence was absolute. Even David's smirk faltered. I steadied my voice. I can't let him be buried twice, once in the ground, and once by forgetting him. That's why I'm here. Not for pity, not for approval, but because his voice deserves to keep living. Judge Harris studied me, eyes unreadable. Then he turned to Sarah. Anything further? She shook her head. Only that the opposition's actions prove my client's sincerity. They fear his work because it will shine a light on their lies. The lawyer sputtered. Objection overruled, the judge said firmly. He leaned back, tapping the gavel softly against the bench. I've seen many families torn apart. In this courtroom, grief twists people, but truth cuts through. The evidence is clear. The donations were misused. The defendant's cause, however, is genuine. My chest froze, waiting. Judge Harris raised his voice. Therefore, I rule in favor of the defendant. He retains the right to use his brother's name in establishing the non-profit orphanage. The gavel struck once, echoing like thunder. Gasps. Murmurs, chaos. My mother collapsed against the bench, sobbing into her hands. My father sat stone still, face gray. David shot to his feet, rage flashing across his face. This is rigged. You'll regret this. He stormed out, shoving past reporters. Cameras followed, capturing every second. His reputation, the smirk, the arrogance, it cracked wide open. I just stood there, stunned, my knees weak. For once the glares weren't on me. They were on them, Sarah whispered. You won. Mark clapped me on the back. No, your brother won. I closed my eyes. Gripping the letter in my hand, for the first time, I didn't feel like the outcast shoved to the back gates of a cemetery. I felt like my brother's voice. The ribbon fluttered in the breeze, bright against the new brick walls. Children's laughter echoed from inside, bouncing. Through the painted halls, where my brother's sketches now lived larger than life, I stood at the entrance, scissors trembling in my hand. Rachel leaned closer. You're shaking. I laughed softly. I didn't think this day would ever come. You made it come, she whispered, her eyes glassy. Mark nudged me from the other side. Cut it already. These kids want to run free. I pressed the blades together, the ribbon falling with a snap. Cheers erupted. The doors swung open, and children rushed inside, wide-eyed at the murals, the playrooms, the library, stacked with donated books. Their joy filled the air like sunlight after a storm. Sarah stepped forward, arms crossed but smiling. You did it, against every wall. They tried to build, you broke through. I swallowed hard, blinking back tears. We did it. No, she said gently. This was you, your fire, your brother's dream carried on your back. Rachel slipped her arm through mine. He'd be so proud. The children's voices rang louder, a little boy calling out, "Mister, look, garden." He tugged me outside to the back courtyard, where a patch of soil had already begun sprouting flowers. My brother's sketches had included this, the place where kids could learn to grow something of their own. I crouched beside him. "What do you think you'll plant?" "Sunflowers," he said brightly. "They always look at the light." His words pierced me, soft and sharp at once. I ruffled his hair, forcing my voice steady. "That's a good choice," Mark came out, hands shoved into his pockets. "They'll remember this day forever, and so will you." I looked at him. "Do you think my parents will ever forgive me?" He didn't answer right away, and he said, "The real question is, do you still need them to?" Rachel's grip on my arm tightened. "You don't." I exhaled slowly, the truth settling into me. I guess I don't. Inside, Sarah gathered a group of volunteers, giving instructions. "Keep records of every expense. Transparency is what keeps this alive." I smiled. "Always the lawyer. Always," she said, smirking. As evening fell, the crowd thinned. The children had been taken home, their laughter still echoing in my ears. Rachel lingered by the doorway, eyes tracing the murals. "He used to doodle on napkins," she murmured. "Now his sketches cover walls. It's like he's here." Tears slid down my cheeks before I could stop them. That's all I wanted. For him to be here somehow. She turned, pulling me into a hug. "You gave him that." Mark joined us, clapping my back with a grin. Not bad for the guy they once called a disgrace. I chuckled bitterly. "Funny how things turn." "Not funny," Sarah said, stepping outside with her coat draped over her shoulders. "Just right." The sky above was clear, stars beginning to break through the dark. I walked away from the building across the courtyard until I stood alone beneath the open night. The air smelled of new paint, soil, and hope. I tilted my head back. "I wasn't allowed at your funeral," I whispered to the stars, my voice trembling. "I stood behind the gates like I didn't belong, but look now. Your name feeds life. Instead of grief, your voice carries in every laugh, every step in these halls." Silence answered, but it wasn't empty. It was full of presence, of memory, of love that hadn't died. Rachel's voice carried from behind me. "Come inside. I want you to say a few words to the volunteers." I wiped my face quickly. "I'll be right there." She nodded. Leaving me in the night for a moment longer, I closed my eyes, letting the weight I had carried for so long finally slip off my shoulders. No more anger burning me hollow. No more begging for their approval. My parents weren't here and I didn't care anymore. The orphanage stood. Children laughed. My brother's dream lived. That was enough. When I walked back inside, Mark raised a glass of water. 2 new beginnings. Sarah joined him. To justice. Rachel smiled through tears. To love that never dies. I lifted my glass high. To him. And as the echo of clinking glasses filled the room, I felt it the first true lightness in my chest since the day they shut me out. Revenge hadn't healed me. Justice had. Love had. Rebirth had. For the first time in forever, I wasn't haunted by the sound of dirt hitting a coffin. I was lifted by the sound of laughter in his name.